Hello, I am Donnie, and I am the cute one.
And I am Chelsea, and I am the cute one.
And it's Friday.
TGIF, cuties.
Chelsea.
Yes?
Let's tell them now. This is the first time I am recording from my new Apple computer. We'll do a real plug later on, but if you are watching from YouTube, this is probably the best my videos ever look.
It looks really good.
Thank you.
It does remind me that I'm working off of a 10-year-old MacBook Air because one would argue my video doesn't look so great.
Oh, well, thank you. It could also be because I am using the MacBook Pro, which does mean better.
Apparently, I stand corrected. The cuties came for me.
Now, we'll see what the sound sounds like, because I've had it for about 3 weeks now, but if there's one thing you need to know about me, it's I don't do things I'm not good at. So it's just been sitting on my kitchen table because I don't know how to use it.
Well, you're on it. You're using it. Look at you go.
Well, we'll see what the sound sounds like when I send it to you. It'll just be a file of me farting in the background.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time, let me tell you. Moving in a completely different direction.
What?
I need to tell you what happened to me last weekend because I haven't told you any of this.
Oh, God. Okay, go ahead.
I saw a psychic.
Oh, you like psychics, though, right?
I do like psychics. I've had some psychics try to sell me candles because they've told me that there's evil forces around me, and for $200, I can lighten that load. I haven't gone back to those psychics. But this guy, shout out to Josh in Ocean City, Maryland, he was, I think, legit.
That's good. That's always a plus.
My mom, my sister-in-law, and me had back-to-back-to-back sessions, which I feel like just energetically, not even getting into the psyche or being able to read minds, you've been around my mother and me, and we really exude a lot of energy. So I kind of felt like poor Josh didn't know what he was signing up for back-to-back-to-back sessions.
Definitely not.
Luckily, he did have Sam in the middle, I think, as kind of like a stabilizing force. She is pretty calm, cool, and collected. He told her that she perhaps was a fallen angel who just wanted to experience this lifetime as a human. He just the whole time was talking about how she was just a beacon of light. And I was like, is she a beacon of light? Yes. And also, is she just the calm person without ADHD between me and my mother?
Well, I was going to say, I would co-sign that she is a fallen angel, a beacon of light. But every time I've experienced her, it's also thrown into chaos. Like both of your daughters are on each shoulder just shitting all over me while she's like, maybe you don't do that.
Yeah, our very own fallen angel. So the funny thing about this reading was that the psychic did spend about half of my session time talking shit about my mom with me.
Okay. Now, she went first?
My mom went first, then
Okay.
Sam, then I was the grand finale. All of these sessions were supposed to be an hour long. My mom went for about an hour and 45 minutes because he said she sat down and it took him about 20 minutes to get his bearings. Energetically. So then Sam went. It was like exactly an hour. She's a fallen angel. She's on her right path. She just needs to be doing what she's doing. And then I came. First of all, he told me that I have very stoic energy.
Were you nervous?
No, not at all. I love psychics. I want to just open myself up. Like, just read me for filth.
Well, then I don't know what the stoic part comes from.
Well, he said the stoic energy. And again, it was like, do I have stoic energy or is my energy just more grounded than my mother's?
Okay.
But he said, I can tell your personality, you're kind of all over the place. He said, but energetically, you are stoic. You are steady. You know who you are. You're not changing. And I was like, okay, that's a nice compliment. He also said that I have a healing voice. He said, my guides kept telling me again and again and again, I have a healing voice. So I like to think that that's because we're doing the Lord's work with this podcast.
You do? I've always said you've had a podcast voice.
Well, thank you. So a healing voice for the cuties. Maybe I'll just start speaking like this.
I think you would be great as a true crime podcaster. You can just say, they found her bones in the dumpster.
Her mother was never the same. Now we're going to break it down weekly on this podcast, resurfacing all of that trauma for this poor family to bear. Anyway, he also said, I'm not on my path.
Oh, well, that's sad.
I know, which that is like a lot of pressure. He said, you're not on your path. And then he said, but you know what you want. He said, but you should be successful all of the time. He said that with my numerology and whatever my spirit guides were saying, like I should be successful 100% of the time.
What do you want?
I don't know. That's, I think, the thing.
He said you know what you want.
So what I think that means is I think that I have been 1 foot in, 1 foot out, like straddling like this life. And I think I need to just like commit to like saying out loud, I want to be famous as fuck, rich as fuck, and doing this full time. Ask, believe, receive.
Perfect. Well, I'm glad Josh supports that.
I know. Shout out to Josh. I'm sure he's getting the little tinglies that I'm talking about him right now. The last thing he said, I mean, my session was also an hour and a half, but 45 minutes of that was dedicated to him being like, ooh, ever since your mom was here, I just have a raging headache. And I'm like... He said that me and my mom are soul connected. We were like made in the same batch. He's like the same age. He's like, you've done many, many, many lifetimes together. And he said that we keep choosing to do lifetimes together. He said that a lot of times people will like have a couple of lives with someone, they've learned what they need to learn, and then they move on. He's like, but you and your mom keep being like, that was fun, let's do it again. He's like, we've been sisters. Obviously, she's my mother in this lifetime. He said, usually you're the mom and she's the daughter. And I was like, huh. And then he said, and I'm seeing a lineage. And he said, it's your mom, you, and your youngest daughter. We always say me and my mom are a little witchy, and my youngest daughter is a little witchy. And so he like called that out. Also, I had assumed because my mom went first that she had given him information like I have 2 daughters. She said she didn't say anything. So then he's talking about my youngest daughter, that she's going to like blaze her own path. I just have to support her. She knows what she's needing, and I just need to like support that. So then like we've talked about that, and I asked about my oldest daughter. I was like, well, what about my oldest daughter? And he goes, she's fine. He kept going, she's fine. She's fine. And he said, you're worried about her. She's fine. I was like, okay, thank you. And I'm going to keep this for the Patreon cuties.
Yeah. A few moments later.
Wait, I'm really crying.
I know. I really needed to hear that, especially after like the first week of school and all of that. So shout out again to Josh. It was awesome. So now I just need to be on my path and be successful all the time, apparently.
He also said that when you lived in Salem as the lineage of witches, your oldest daughter was the one to turn you 3 in and burn you alive.
He said in a past life I was living in Scotland and I had auburn hair.
Oh, I would have hated you.
That's why we waited till this lifetime to link up.
I was probably the one that burned you alive then.
Yeah, with your little pilgrim hat.
Yeah, oh, I would have looked so cute. Now, question. Yes, I do have tears in my eyes. Go to Patreon if you want to see why. Are my lips uneven? The whole time you've been talking, I have been yes-anding, so you know I've been listening. But look, the top lip is crooked.
Do you want to know why?
Why?
I'm sorry, that's not the answer you needed in the moment. Your lips are great.
No, but why is it crooked?
Because you're on your MacBook. So the MacBook flips your camera.
Like Shannon Doherty's eyeball.
Oh, and now I've realized I need to go get more Botox because those gums are peeking on through again.
I love your gums. Should we? Should I talk about my weekend last weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I think you really dove deep on this week's Patreon episode. So I think maybe skim the surface, and then if they can get through the surface and they want to see what lies beneath, much like Harrison Ford, then have them come over to the Patreon.
Perfect. So Kendrick visited for his birthday is in the beginning of September. So he visited for Labor Day weekend / his birthday week beginning. So we went to Boxers, both locations every single night. I'll tell you that first of all.
Wait, you went to both locations every night?
Yeah.
Like you were getting your passport stamped. Like, we've been to this location, now we need to see the dicks in this location.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because here's the thing, and I've said this more than once. The one location has better bartenders, but the other one is more of a vibe. So if those bartenders worked at the other location, I would never go to the original
You
one.
would live there.
Yeah. But I have to go to both. We also dabbled in other gay bar locations. So we really got our hands full this weekend. But we also did an escape room on Saturday morning. It was a pop-up, limited time only murders in the building escape room. So the first room you go in is a small little square room, similar to that room in Haunted Mansion at Disney where the pictures go up. It was just all these paintings, but it was the paintings from the show that Selena Gomez's character paints. So it was like a picture of that old lady. She had a fur coat on, and there was really fur on the picture. And then there was a picture of a man in a wicker chair. It was real wicker on the chair, etc., etc. So you're in this room. The host is telling you, like, okay, welcome to the escape room. The things on these pictures don't pull off. Like, we know it looks like you can pull off a fur jacket. Don't. She's like, you can feel up whatever you want in this room, but not pull things off. And I said, without consent. So then everyone in the room laughed, including this hot boy, Josh, that was there.
Josh?
Was he a black man?
No.
Okay, different Josh.
Imagine that his weekend was having to spend an hour and 45 minutes with my mother and then get felt up by you in an escape room. Talk about escape. He'd be really working hard to get out of that room.
So this hot guy Josh laughed as well. I'll tell you more about him in a second. But there was this one white guy in the group that came alone. So it was me and Kendrick, a group of 4 that Josh was a part of, and I think his girlfriend, and then this weird white guy.
Well, a weird white guy that came alone to an escape room in general is a vibe, but then adding the layer that it was Saturday morning. Because I think that is a very specific energy you're bringing to the escape room on a Saturday morning, Labor Day weekend.
No, I would agree with you. But if it's something you like and nobody else in your life likes it, you should still do it.
I guess that's
just
true.
not with my friends. Stay out of my group. So this weird guy didn't laugh, and I was like, oh, he's going to be a problem. Then throughout the event, he was like, guys, we're at 40 minutes. Should we ask for a clue? And we were like, no, not yet. Relax. Things like that. So then, spoiler alert, if you're going to do this escape room, skip ahead like 10 seconds. The one part, you get this podcast equipment, including a boom mic and headphones. So there's this little speaker up top that has very soft commercial airing. She's like, first we're going to listen to this. Then you go to this box. So you have to hold the boom mic to that. Then the person with the earphones tells you what he's hearing so you can find the clues she's talking about. So he wanted to be the headphones wearer because he wanted to have power, I guess. So we had the boom mic in this other room trying to find it. And at first we didn't know what to do. And I was like, guys, I think there's a thing over here. Hold it over here. And we just heard him from the other room say, you're yelling in my ears.
That's when he needed my healing voice. His eardrums were never the same.
That made me laugh out loud, and he was like, you're doing it again. So I loved that.
That would be a great Big Brother punishment.
Oh,
to have to hear through a boom mic. So everything is just amplified, but you pick your poison because you have the chance to hear secrets, or you get your eardrums blown out by Angela screeching about her charcuterie board.
Okay, anyway. So Josh, Kendrick called me out later. I thought I was telling Kendrick a story, but he was there to witness the whole hour. So he was like, Donnie, I know. He said, Donnie, I laughed out loud repeatedly because when Josh was just there solving a puzzle, I was holding my palm against Josh's back, one hand on his shoulder, looking over and saying, Josh, I think try X. Josh, try X. I couldn't speak to this man without saying his name first. It was always, Josh, there's a tarp behind you. Josh, try that clock. But then about halfway in, I was like, oh my God, his girlfriend is here. I need to lay low. So then I started doing it to her too. I got a little handsy with her, called her first name, but Josh is the love of my life. And that's why I posted that group photo after we got out of the room.
That's why you were like, do your work Instagram. I want Instagram handles.
Yeah. Because it was a group of 4. So if I can just find one of them, I can get to the rest. And we did have a great time together. Well, I had a great time with them. They are probably like, thank God he stopped touching us.
Either that or they've discovered this podcast. There's a group chat popping off right now being like, I fucking knew it. He was hitting on you.
Probably. So if that's true, give us 5 stars and then tell me you want to do another escape room with me again. So that's the escape room. Then Kendrick and I flew to New Jersey. Not really flew, but quickly. Went to New Jersey to have dinner at Rails for Nora's birthday, the restaurant from the Real Housewives of New Jersey finale. So we went there, took the tour. I asked all the servers, do you know you work on historic land? And none of them knew what the fuck I was talking about, which it was just filmed 2 months ago. You should know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But that was a good time. I laid on the train tracks, took a photo.
You sent me the photo. I immediately photoshopped myself in a train about to barrel you down. I felt like I was there in spirit.
Then, cuties, on Saturday night, this is just a little Patreon. What's it called?
Teaser.
Thank you.
Like Vince Vaughn once said in Wedding Crashers, we're about to play just the tip.
Yes, very much so. Because, cuties, I've been wanting to go here since the Oh Mary premiere party when we had it at this location, and I said, this is a wonderful night. I bet it would be more fun if I came on an actual gay work night. So we went to the Eagle, and I've, like I said, wanted to go for a while, but it wasn't until this weekend that I went, and my life is fully changed. It's my new favorite bar. I'll tell you why on the Patreon, but I had the time of my life.
You had the time of your life, and to finish this, just the tip tail, I woke up to a text message, and my response was, wow, we had wildly different weekends.
We did, didn't we? If you want to hear that whole story, go to www.patreon.com/IamTheCuteOne. You can listen to that whole tale. We're also in the middle of Big Brother recaps. There's a lot happening at Patreon.
I love the addition of the www. I think next time you should just go for the full https://www.
I don't know why I added the www.
It gave
but
it a
added
little something special.
It did, didn't it? Also, you can go to our YouTube. You won't hear the full story there, but you can see us.
You can see Donnie's wonky lips there.
I hate it. It's truly a slant. You could go skiing down this lip.
Do you know how Pepe wrote songs?
Yeah.
His raw talent, or lack thereof, never stopped him from doing anything in his life. He also, like me, was going to be successful all of the time. So he couldn't hit the high notes that he wrote this entire song in. So he'd jut out his neck and he'd say, I'm skiing down the hills of Seven Springs, thinking about those mountain girls and beer. He was going to Seven Springs with his wife.
First of all, that made me dizzy. Second of all, in his defense, it has to be high. You couldn't lower that an octave and that be a good song.
True.
But cuties, that didn't finish anything. Go to YouTube. When you're there, you can like, subscribe, comment a few things, trick the algorithm into blasting us to other people so that Chelsea can do this full time and Josh gets his wish. And then the other Josh can get his wish because I'll have more money to go to escape rooms where I can tickle his butthole in front of his girlfriend.
And also more money to battle the impending restraining orders and lawsuits. Wonderful. Well, this week brought us the start of the Paralympics, the end of Brat's summer, High School Musical's Coach Bolton defending Blake Lively, the Beetlejuice premiere, and the 10th anniversary of Obama's tan suit.
About 3 things in that made me get wet a little bit. So starting with Obama's tan suit, of course.
Well, another thing that might make you wet because you're going to pee yourself out of fear, Donnie.
No.
I need to check in about those astronauts stuck in space.
Which, by the way, there are still full friends of mine who don't know about this. Like, it is not being talked about in the media.
No, we knew more about Charlotte the Stingray and Kate Middleton's disappearance than astronauts stuck in space. I think something fishy's afoot, especially after I tell you what's been going on with them now. They've heard a noise. They've heard a noise in the Boeing spaceship that had all of their issues and made them stranded in the first place. So the headline of this news article is, stranded astronaut reports pulsing sound coming from the troubled Boeing spacecraft as NASA reveals the source of this mystery noise. So I saw that headline and was like, thank God, NASA is going to tell us what it is. It's going to be like, oh, like a mouse snuck aboard and was eating his cheese. And
like that Mary-Kate and Ashley mystery. Remember there was a noise on the NASA ship and it was like owls eating or whatever, making nests.
Wow, going back to our roots.
So many people this weekend, and I don't know who. Oh, like boxers, bartenders, or like different whatever. So many people asked about our podcast this weekend, and I don't know why I like go all the way back. Like, it's like if people are like, tell me your life story, and then you say, I was born March 20th, 1996 on a rainy night. They don't mean that, but I surely do say it started as a Mary-Kate and Ashley podcast, but then we quickly realized after 300 listeners that no one wanted a Mary-Kate and Ashley podcast. To which I do need to say, one girl, when I said that, she was like, 300's a lot. 300 people listening to you a week is a lot. That's 300 more than listen to me. I was like, thank you, Shannon. How kind of you.
That's so nice. And also, you didn't tell her the follow-up, which I do think we're no longer with our original network. I feel like enough time has passed where the house of cards that we built has become like a stable foundation. So I can speak something aloud to the cuties that we've never publicly admitted. But you didn't tell Shannon that of those 300 listeners, about 200 were coming from my various Google devices, because there was a period of time where I was fully running like a bot farm because we had to hit our numbers and they were not there at first. And so I was like pulling up every single Gmail account and just hitting Google Play and being like, refresh, refresh, refresh. So thank you, cuties, for being real people who are hearing these words.
Thank you. Now, I didn't tell Shannon that, but I did tell Shannon I shit on someone's bed before. And this is a girl I had just met, but she was like, tell me about your worst date. So I told her that. And then I was like, tell me about yours. And then her, Kendrick, and the other person in the room were all like, I don't know if I have one. Like, you are all pieces of shit.
See, that's like whenever we're playing Would You Rather, and I bring up, would you rather, if there was a Freaky Friday situation and you had to have sex with your parents' body with your crush's soul inside, or your crush's body with your parents' soul inside, who would you rather? And so far, only 3 people in my life, including you, have had the courage to answer.
Wow.
And it's the same vibe. I put that out there and I answer, and then no one else does. What the fuck? Anyway, the strange sound was first reported on last Saturday by Butch Wilmore, which you love that name, Butch Wilmore. In the recording, Wilmore asked NASA crew in Houston to identify the sound, which was described as pulsing and clanging. The Earthside crew member speculated it sounded almost like a sonar ping. So NASA released a statement acknowledging the latest developments, but insisting that there was nothing to worry about. So remember that beginning part of the story when I said the headline made me feel like NASA knew what it was and wasn't going to be worried about it? No, NASA was just saying, we know about the noise, nothing to worry about, carry on.
This is so weird.
I know. So right now, the Starliner is currently scheduled to undock on September 6th, so Friday, when this episode airs, and return to Earth with no crew on board. So I hope that real people are listening to this, because who the fuck knows? Maybe we're bringing an alien to Earth on Friday and we're all going to be destroyed.
This is Cloverfield, and I fucking live in New York City.
And you manifested it because that's the reason you moved to New York City.
I know. And the movie starts in Brooklyn, and so do I.
Well, luckily, I'm supposed to be successful all the time. So maybe that's going to start when the zombie apocalypse kicks in.
Maybe, just like when painters get famous after they die, maybe this podcast will shoot to fame once I am eaten by aliens. Perfect.
Love that. Love that for me. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just keeping an eye on this story. I feel like I do have my spidey senses about the stories that we really need to talk about on this podcast, and this is certainly one of them. So I encourage all of you, go out there today and tell one person about these astronauts stuck in space, because I think they're being done a disservice, and they're keeping it quiet for some reason, and I don't trust it.
I don't trust it either. When are they supposed to come back? February?
They're not supposed to come back till February, but that broken Bowen spaceship that there's nothing to worry about comes back today when this episode airs. So good luck out there, everybody. May the odds be ever in your favor.
Jesus. And don't join NASA. Women don't belong in STEM.
Stay out of STEM. Save yourself. Get back in the kitchen, bitches.
My story this week is even more high stakes because it's the One Tree Hill reboot. Chelsea.
Who cares about Earth when we could be talking about One Tree Hill?
Were you going to try to sing a theme song and forgot it?
Well, is it I Don't Wanna Be?
It is.
Okay. Yeah. Wow, you do know me. We've got that psychic connection because I paused and then I was like, I don't know if that sounds right. Wow, they really went all in with Gavin DeGraw.
Why wouldn't they? I keep trying to see when he goes on tour, but he only does shows in South Carolina, which should show me he's not someone I should give my money to. And yet, if he did come to New York for a night, I'd be there.
You know what? I take back everything that I just said. If you find out where he's touring, I'll go to that concert with you because I used to listen to his acoustic CD version of Chariot.
Chelsea, number 1, me too. Number 3, oh, I said me too, so it confused me. Number 1, me too.
Number 2 is the thing that you left in that stranger's bed on that bad date.
And number 3, he re-released the all-acoustic version of Chariot for 20th anniversary, and I've been listening to that.
Donnie, I've been listening to it too.
No!
Yes, I'm a big fat phony. I started that sentence talking shit about One Tree Hill going all in on Gavin DeGraw. I love Gavin DeGraw. I'm here to say, you know what? I'm supposed to be successful all the time and I have a healing voice. I need to be living my truth. I love Gavin DeGraw.
I love Kevin DeGraw. I saw him twice in concert. And I don't know how to play the piano. You know, I've took lessons, but it didn't really go anywhere. I don't know how to read music. That's the problem. But I loved that album so much, I bought the sheet music to it. To do what with? I don't know.
Well, you know, Leah Michelle goes to the library from time to time. Doesn't stop her.
You're right. You're right. So that's that. All that Gavin DeGraw talk to say is there is a One Tree Hill reboot being made with only 2 cast members returning. Ew. And those 2 cast members are Sophia Bush and Hillary. The fuck's her last name? Not
Bertinelli.
Burton, yeah.
Who's Bertinelli?
Valerie Bertinelli is like a Lifetime woman.
Sure.
So Hillary Burton and Sophia Bush are the only 2 returning, which means, cuties, everything we thought about the drama of the 3 Girls podcast is true, because Bethany Joy Lenz is not coming back for this.
What the fuck is CMM doing out there?
Well, him and Sophia Bush had that divorce, so then he won't be back.
He dumped her to go date that high schooler. And I'm not saying allegedly, because I've got boots on the ground knowledge of that. And if you go back to many of our episodes, you'll know all about that.
It's just going to be so bad. People on Twitter are already comparing it to And Just Like That. Because if you don't have the full cast returning, you're already like pigeonholed into certain storylines you can't do. It's just going to be a flop.
Well, especially because those 2 characters, their whole thing was that like frenemy up and down thing. So if that's still going on, however many years later, they both need to get into therapy, because why are you keeping around a frenemy ship for that long? Or even worse, if that dynamic has changed and they have, you know, healed and laughed and loved and learned and all of that, then what the fuck are we going to be watching? Just 2 middle-aged women reminiscing about their high school years?
Exactly. And apparently it's being pitched or described as like those 2 are moms now that are dealing with their kids going through the things they went through. So they're seeing it through a new lens. But like... No. The only like shifted around reboot I've ever liked is, well, the 90210 reboot was good, but in a different way. That came out the same time as Gossip Girl, the OC One Tree Hill, so it like fed into that. But the meta reboot, where it was basically like the comeback, it was the stars of 90210 filming a 90210 reboot, but we saw behind the scenes of it. So they were like, we don't want Shannon Doherty in it, she's a bitch. And then she comes in and like, she is a bitch, but we're supposed to be on her side. It was so fun. But the world's not smart enough for it, so it was canceled after 1 season.
Hate when that happens.
I know. I hate being the smartest person in the world.
It's hard.
Isn't it?
Do you think they're going to bring back Nanny Carey?
I hope so. Didn't she die, though?
Oh, well, anything's possible in a reboot.
True. What if that's the only other cast member that comes back? What if it's those 2 women and Nanny Carey?
And it's like Nanny Carey joins their mom group? I would watch that, to be honest.
Me too, yeah. I need it to be more Desperate Housewives, less One Tree Hill.
Which is hard when it is a One Tree Hill reboot. That's a hard ask, I think.
It is. It is. Speaking of hard asks, I have asked Kelly of Beyond the Blinds to do this show, a deep dive into this show numerous times. And she often tells me I didn't watch it, so I don't know that it will be a good deep dive. But I'm going to ask it again. I've asked you multiple times in text, multiple times on social media. Here's a verbal request. I need a Desperate Housewives Beyond the Blinds. Kelly and Troy, if you're listening, this is actually, I said it's a request. It's no longer a request. It's a demand. You will receive papers in the mail soon enough.
At first, I thought you were saying that Kelly said she never watched One Tree Hill. And I'm like, I hate to tell you, babe, but she's just bold-faced lying to you. She's also like, and I never got into the hills or Laguna Beach either.
Or what if it's like what I do and you don't want to be out of a cultural moment? So what if she never did watch those things and she's telling me the truth and her whole account has just been making stuff
Lies for a decade with Kelly Williams of Beyond the Blinds.
So that's that.
Okay. Well, now that we've dragged our friend through the mud for quite literally no reason, let's move on to the cutie of the week. Why don't you go first this week?
My cutie of the week is Ricky Martin, because there was a rumor that his divorce happened because he was seeing a gay porn star, but we didn't know. However, he put a picture of the gay porn star on his Instagram this week, which is a soft launch, hard launch. We don't know what kind of launch, but Ricky Martin is dating, possibly, a gay porn star. And that's just the life I want for myself.
Ask, believe, receive,
And
and so
so
it
it
is. That's kind of iconic regardless. Like, even if he's not dating him, just posting a smirking porn star to your main Instagram feed after that being the rumors for your divorce, iconic.
That is iconic. I didn't think of it like that. Good job, Ricky.
Living the Vida Loca. My cutie of the week is September.
Okay.
So I was sent a screenshot of an Instagram graphic about September. And the whole premise is that in the month of September, you're supposed to try every day to get at least 5,000 more steps than you normally would. Now, one thing about me is, yes, I used to play sports in college, but over the last 10 years, I say that I am borderline sedentary. So it's quite easy for me to get more than 5,000 steps when at times my pedometer on my iPhone tells me that I've walked 42 steps in a day, for example. So I am going to try and do September. I am, spoiler, we're recording this on Tuesday, the 3rd. I am 3 days in, and I have accomplished my goal each day.
Good.
So if any cuties out there are trying to, in a low-stakes way, get a little bit more movement in your life, I implore you to join me so that maybe I don't just immediately fall off of this thing that I'm saying I'm doing. Now, September did not start out great. It did start out great in that I've hit my goals, but it also did start with me getting some bonus steps because the very first walk I went on, I had to promptly sprint home lest I shit myself. So I did make it in time. We didn't have a McDonald's bag situation, but I do think that was maybe my body purging or letting me know, like, you sure you want to do this, bitch? So I'm hopeful for the rest of September.
I understand. I've had bowel issues all weekend as well. So we're in it together.
And if you thought, cuties, that we made it through a whole episode without, well, I guess you already did talk about shitting in that stranger's bed, but we did get close to not talking about our bowel movements this week. But alas, we'll try again next week.
It won't be a success.
Josh isn't the only psychic around here.
So that's it, cuties. We've done it again, to quote Chelsea.
Okay, can I just say that's your catchphrase at this point, because after you publicly dragged me for it a couple months ago, I haven't been saying it. But guess what? Not only have you been saying it on our TGIF episodes, you've been saying it on our Monday movie episodes too.
Joke's on you. I also say it after I take shit. So I look in there and say, well, we've done it again. So, cuties, one more time. If you want to hear unedited, unfiltered, uneducated versions of this episode, you can go to patreon.com, where most recently I have done part 2 of the divorce conversation, which includes my time at the Eagle. You can also go to our YouTube for video versions of this, where you can help us trick the algorithm. On Monday, we will be covering Little Black Book, starring the late, the great Brittany Murphy. And on that note, we will talk to you later. Love you like a sister. Bye.
Bye.